Welcome to Blind Shovel, an arts and music podcast. Today I sit down in my attic with musician and producer Jesse Korman. Hope you enjoy.
Jesse Korman.
All right, that's a good place to start is these band names. I don't understand. Who named the band? Did you name the band?
My band, the number 12 Looks Like You. I wouldn't say I named the band because it's a Twilight Zone episode.
Oh.
So the number 12 Looks Just Like You is a Twilight Zone episode. So I can't take credit for the genius behind that.
Is that literal? It's like a Dadaist thing to me.
It was literally...
There's a person in there who looks like a 12.
It was an episode that took place in the future where you can go window shopping. You can look at a specific look and a face, and you say, I want to look like that. So I want to look just like the number 12. And we're kind of living in that dystopian future now because you want to look like that. Well, you can get it. You can buy it. So
that's illuminating. Like I've seen a lot of Twilight Zones, and I don't recall. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, old black and white one. But no, I can't take credit for that. Did we pick it? Yes. Oh yeah, that would do that.
There it is. Yeah, I mean, but there seems to be. All right, let's get into New Jersey. And let's get into what type of music this is.
Yes.
So what's the most concise way to explain it?
That's a very good question. After 23 years of doing this band, I still don't know if I have a proper description for my band because even if you look up our Wikipedia page, which, it's sort of audience generated, it's not real. You can't even figure it out. They don't even know what they're like. We can't figure it out. They don't know. So it's kind of the very umbrella term would be heavy metal. Then you would sort of keep going into that sort of more specificity of experimental, jazz-fused, grindcore, screamo, mathcore.
Okay.
Those would be the top.
How do you end up there? You know what I mean? Like it's pretty easy to fall into. All right, I make punk rock. I'm 16. I want to be a punk rock person. It's an identity. It's clear. But how do you end up there?
Well, when we were 16 starting the band, what we really wanted to do was just make sure we didn't sound like anybody else. That was a big thing for us. We pulled influence from all different places, but one thing we just didn't want to do was just be another hardcore band, be another metalcore band. So we just went in every direction possible. It was classical, clean guitar, into a little piano part, to a chug 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 breakdown, into a clean guitar screamo, into a thrash. We just kept going in different directions, but it never returned back to that. So we would just keep going and going and going and going, and then the song was over, and then that's sort of how we became known for the What the Fuck band. It was.
Is that what's? That's part
I mean, it is. It's
so did you achieve that? Would you say in the end?
I mean, sure. Yeah, I think so.
Is there any band that even comes to mind where you go, oh, that's like the point of reference that someone might know?
I mean, there's always going to be the comparison to the Dillinger Escape Plan because they were doing it just as long as us, but they were doing similar to what we were doing, but they were like masters at what they were doing. It was the top upper tier musicianship and craziest, insane live show you've ever seen. So they really, really like owned that. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, you guys are ripping off Dillinger." And while I can see why people would say that, it was we had no influence from that. We were completely the North Jersey band who just sort of stayed in the basement and wrote this weird stuff, whereas Dillinger had their own thing going. So we didn't say, "Oh, we got to be just like them." So I would say we didn't really. I mean, to be honest, we also didn't really expect to have any popularity. Like, and that's the God honest truth. When we wrote this stuff and we were recording, we just kind of assumed that it was going to be friends who come see the show. It would be cool if we played a show, but by no means did we think anybody not our friends would listen to us. So there's never an intention to let's make this be a real band. That was never the intention. And here I am, 40 years old, 23 years later. it's somehow stuck around, and as long as people are going to keep wanting it, we'll keep doing it. So yeah,
I ask mostly because that desire to be original, which is authentic, it can be really hard to escape comparisons when you're coming up. It's almost impossible, I think.
Yeah.
We're all born out of some primordial goo that's like shared. So
right.
That doesn't mean there's no originality. I think there is. But it's an interesting question when you're 17.
Yeah.
How do you approach that? So clearly it sounds like there was some level of isolation and an attempt at being erratic or kind of formless.
Yeah.
Like very... It's interesting like that. I guess, does all experimentation come from this urge? I don't think so. I think it sounds like you were seeking an identity more like as being someone younger as a band.
Yeah. I think for us it was, we're teenagers and we're feeling a ton of emotions as teenagers do. So we can feel certain things from a very soft, very melodic, mid-tempo part. We can feel a lot from a very thrashy, aggressive, grindy part. We can feel a lot from a breakdown, chug, chug, chug. There's a lot of emotion in all of it. And I think that for us, being the experimental band, we gravitated towards all of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so we didn't really have a structure. That's the thing that we're also, I guess, known for, is there's no structure. The song doesn't have a verse, chorus, bridge. It was just whatever just poured out, and then when it ended, it was done. And so I think that it was definitely, there was definitely some sort of discovery mode as every song got made, of sort of, what are we doing? What is all this? What does this actually mean? And we never really put a label or a name to it. And to this day, it's just experimental metal. That's really what it is. I like to call it experimental screamo, because if anything, that is a bit more connecting. I think metal is, it's its own genre. It's very cool. It's very heavy, but people just know that as like it's heavy music. Whereas screamo to me is emotional music that is moving. It's emotional.
Sure.
Screamo, obviously, for the screaming sake of it. So it's just an aggressive form of singing. And then when you say experimental, it's not what you would imagine as just emo.
Right.
So.
And is it very Jersey?
I don't think so.
Is
no.
screamo Jersey?
Screamo is pretty Jersey, I guess.
Well, and I
guess so.
That's the part that's pretty interesting to square for me, is coming back and having run a music venue under the gallery for 2 years. I came to realize certain aspects of New Jersey's identity, because technically I left New Jersey after high school.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you really know a place like this until you have a car. And when that happened, I moved to Philly and then California. So I don't really even think I understood this aspect of Jersey. Like I understood certain stereotypes of New Jersey that get accurately thrust upon us. But screamo and noise and Yeah, whatever. Like, I don't know if Thursday's from Jersey.
They are the Jersey heroes.
Right. So
big influence.
It's interesting to think about why that happened in New Jersey. You know, specifically, it's very specific type of music. It's an identity that I think if you run a venue, you have to acknowledge. It's like it's a cornerstone of what happened and seems to still be happening.
Yeah, I actually never thought why it came from New Jersey. It was just
it's angsty, it's emotional, it's aggressive.
But I feel like that's a universal language that can be anywhere.
Sure,
you know. But why Jersey became known for that, I don't know. I think a lot of the culture was built in basements. The screamo culture was really
matters. Yeah,
it was founded in these basement shows, which maybe wasn't very popular in the rest of the country. So
true, they don't have basements. There's no basements in California, really.
Right. So how are you going to capitalize on screamo when you have no basement? And those two things go hand in hand. When you think of Thursday, you think of the shows that Jeff Rickley used to put on in his basement in New Brunswick, and he had all these monumental bands, the Seisha, Neil Perry, and even just the punk rock stuff, the Hot Water Musics, and it was such a scene. And maybe because it was birthed in the basements, other people in the surrounding areas started doing the same, and maybe that's why it became a thing. It was just sort of a learned behavior of like, oh, hey, they're doing this like clean guitar, thrashy music with just messy vocals and just erratic sort of guitar sounds, and people are going crazy in the basement. That's cool. Let's do it in our basement. And so I think maybe that just spawned a lot. And I know for me, that was definitely a thing that I did. Was I'd go to New Brunswick, I'd go see a screamo show in a basement, and that shit is wild. Yeah. You know, I don't think Pennsylvania is really going to be doing much like that. I think theirs might be more. I also think the style of music is very specific to the regions. So I think New England is very much known for their hardcore, like true hardcore. They like hardcore. They like breakdowns. They like beat down music. Why? I don't know. That's just kind of like how I connect New England and the hardcore scene. California, they've got this whole other thing going. Florida, they've got this whole other sort of metalcore thing going. So it's very weird how it happens like that.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about what a garage band is versus a band in a basement versus, you know, you're not going to make classical in a basement usually. And these areas matter. And the access matters, you know. Like if you're a teenager, one part of the house you usually have access to for yourself is a basement.
Right.
Because it's kind of a disregarded, moldy, cold zone. Right. You know? We're in an attic. What gets made in an attic? Maybe like postal service? I don't know.
Maybe. Probably something a bit quieter.
Yeah.
Something where you could just put headphones on.
And so, has this band existed for 23 years continuously, in some sense?
We had a 6-year break. So 2010, we took a 6-year break until 2016. And then that was a very, very important break that we needed to sort of have a bit appreciation for what we had.
And what'd you do in those 6 years?
Shit. Well,
is that where all the other stuff spins off? All the other career trajectory?
Exactly. That's where I don't even know what you would call that. I guess that would be chapter 2 of my life, maybe, or chapter 3.
So what age does the band break up for you? What age are you?
So the age it broke up for me was 27.
Okay.
And at 27, I think that there's a lot of different things. From what I know, from some of the stuff that I've learned, is there's even a saying that goes with a 27, 28-year-old is the return to Saturn, where they say every between those ages, people experience a big life change, and I've found that to be very interesting with a lot of other friends that I've met who have in the 26, 27, 28, 29 year range. A big change happens in their lives. So I found that pretty interesting because that was what I needed. I needed the big change.
1 sec. This microphone is... It's all good. I think it's...
Is yours working?
Going low battery on this. Let me just charge that. You're ripping.
I'm good. I'm moving and grooving in there. Can you just plug yours into... Oh.
Probably. I'll just be like this. What does red? What does red mean, dude?
Is your signal coming in? Oh, it is.
I mean, it is coming in, so maybe I just pay attention to it. So yeah, the return to Saturn. Well, yeah. I mean, they say all sorts of things about 7-year intervals, huh?
7-year intervals. But
so you return to Saturn, and then
apparently
this. So well, yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting. Often, I'm talking to musicians. It's pretty hard to sustain just being a musician in perpetuity, and it's probably not a good thing anyway. So, as you say, it's necessary, this break. But what does that look like? You know, obviously, for 10 years you're in the band? About, roughly?
10 years. Yep.
And then you have to step back and reassess your skill set, or you were developing those skill sets in those 10 years, photography, production, etc.?
No.
You were not.
I was definitely not. It was, I would definitely say it was more of a... So, during the time of doing Number 12, I had started managing bands. And one of the bands that I started managing was a band called Foxy Shazam. So, I started a management company, music management company. And as Foxy starts getting this crazy momentum, they're getting phone calls to sign to Warner Brothers, a big major label record signing. They're getting asked to do an album with John Feldman, a multi-platinum producer. So I'm sitting here in a band, screamo band, and we're kind of stale at this point. Nothing is exciting. And I look at my management company. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this to another level, and I'm going to quit my band, and I'm going to focus all my attention on music management. And so that's what I did. I started managing these bands and producers full time. And that was really good for a minute when Foxy had signed to Warner Brothers, and I had Bad Rabbits and really cool bands. But when you're an artist, I guess I finally realized at that point I was an artist. It's hard to put all of your attention into another artist when you want to create yourself. So that was difficult, and that was very taxing on me. And also, being 27, 28 years old, you don't have the same income that you used to. You go on tour to make money, and so that's all I had to show. So when Foxy or Bad Rabbits went with these other bands that I'm managing, when they're not touring, I'm not making money. So what the fuck am I doing? You know, so I'm doing graphic design jobs. I'm working freelance at Warner Brothers, designing merch designs, because that's, you know, the other skill set that I had. So I was just trying to survive, and then that sort of depression sets in to where you feel like before you're even 30, you feel like a washed up singer. And you have nothing to show. What do I have? Like, at least the people in my band, they have a skill. They're playing real drums. They're playing real guitar. Who gives a fuck about someone who screams into a microphone? Nobody.
Well, that's a good. Yeah, I guess we hadn't even broached the topic of what you do in the band, or you did in the band. So you're the vocalist.
I'm the vocalist.
Primary vocalist.
Primary vocalist.
And does it primarily consist of screaming?
Very much so. I would say 98%.
And
is
so
screaming. So
why were you chosen for such a task? How did you emerge as that? Like, it seems like what did you bring how do I word this? When you're forming the band, you know, it's pretty obvious if that guy plays guitar, or we need that guy. But it isn't clear to me how they go, we need this man, maybe charisma, the ability to scream.
I don't even think so, because I didn't know how to scream. I was pretty cool. I'll say that.
But you didn't do drugs. You didn't drink.
Nope. Still don't do any of that.
But you were cool.
It was out of. I guess it was out of I guess there was nothing left to do. It was it was me and my friend John. We just longest story short, we all get into a room. I say, I can play drums, guys. So we put together this practice. I've learned that I cannot play drums.
Okay.
And I'm actually indeed not very good at drums. So my one friend, Cree, who was a drummer who wanted to just come watch, I was like, I don't want to play drums anymore. This sucks. I can't do it. He's like, can I play? I go ahead, sure. He starts playing. Then all of a sudden, music starts forming together. The other singer, Justin, so there was another singer with number 12. So we did start the band off with 2 singers. He was already screaming. And I'm sitting there. There's a guitar playing guitar. There's a drummer playing drums. Justin screaming. Then there's me. And so out of just sort of boredom, I was like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. So I pick up a mic and I start screaming too. And that's it. There was there was no need for it. It just happened.
All right, so were you particularly good at screaming? What did you bring to the table ultimately, right? Like, from over the course of 23 years,
yes,
obviously you had to progress in some fashion. Maybe it's the performance element. Did you learn instruments? Did you care to?
Nah.
So you're really did you get better at screaming? Did you do primal scream therapy?
I went to proper screaming lessons with Melissa Cross.
Who's that?
She is the Zen of Screaming. She is the Zen of Screaming coach of coaches. She's the best in the business.
So what's her background? Why would it matter?
She just gives a proper technique of being able to not scream the wrong way. So if you're screaming like, ah, it's all wrong. It's all about the illusion of a scream. So
that's
not
cool.
Actually screaming. And
yeah,
so
walk me through that.
So she basically teaches you how to. Here's a little trailer for vocal lessons via Melissa Cross, who I love, who is the biggest. I'm not trying to compete with you, but it is the sound of a scream. So how I learned is you have a trigger word that creates a sound of the scream. So she goes through all these different words, these phrases, and she goes, and none of it was working. And she goes, do you remember the movie The Shining? I go, yeah. She goes, red rum. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Red rum. And so I'm going, red rum. And so that screechiness, tightening your throat, if you just put a little bit more gas behind that and you push it, so you're going, I'm not going to actually do it here, but you're going, red rum, and you're pushing that harder. If I had a microphone, you would actually be able to tell. You wouldn't even be able to tell that wasn't a lower volume scream. And that's kind of screaming.
So are you saying with the assistance of the microphone,
Correct.
You're kind of reducing the damage to your vocal cords?
Exactly. And you can have so much flexibility, just like how I just mimicked a red rum. I can go into red rum, and you can go into all different timbres of that. And in that world, it's fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of I didn't realize that you were the screaming guy, actually.
Yep.
This whole time. I'm just trying to process it. So.
Yep.
Are you viewed as
here.
exceptionally good at screaming? Like, do you enjoy it still?
I do enjoy it still.
It's just I'm wondering about the articulation of the activity and how far you can take it. Obviously, you took training.
Yep.
It's not is it melodic? Like, are there? There are I guess there are notes in screaming.
You don't
right?
have to. I don't scream the whole time. Like, our newer material is barely any. Our newer material does have screams, but the old material, sorry, yes, I do scream the whole time.
Really? Did you suffer damage from this?
I wouldn't say I suffered long-term damage, but when you're touring for 8 months out of the year so for me, I knew that I had to sort of overcompensate. So I'm screaming, I'm just like rah, 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 scream, scream, scream. And if I look like I'm just standing there in a studio screaming into a mic, it doesn't look very interesting. So I started putting a lot more of my personal emphasis into a live performance. So a live act that you would go see at a sideshow. So I just basically started going off the wall, and that's kind of what we're still known for now, is just a wild show. It's complete chaos. And so I may not be the most musically inclined person, I may not be the best screamer or a singer, but I can put on a show. Entertainment.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you say about, I can understand now contextually why at 27, having just screamed for 10 years.
Why it gets
probably why it was probably pretty concerning or confusing trying to find income and work. And I'm sure, what did your parents think of you screaming? Did they understand it?
No.
I can't imagine they would. I can barely comprehend it.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Are there any cultural traditions that are very scream oriented? Or would you say this is a very from an anthropological perspective, this is the New Jersey screamer?
This is Jersey.
Listen to him.
This is it. Yeah. You ain't hearing it from any other culture. This is the only way this is the only way you'll hear it at its purest.
Fascinating.
Unless there is that I don't know, but
I don't know of one. And it's just weird that there's throat singing.
Of course.
There's primal scream therapy that was popular during the hippie era. I don't know much about it. I feel like some famous singer burnt his shit out doing it. I don't know who. Kind of like Beatles adjacent or something. I'm forgetting who did it. And so, it seems kind of unique in that sense. Mm-hmm. It took thousands of years for humans to arrive at that, in a sense.
Yeah, I guess the best way I tried to describe it to a normie is when you hear the music and you hear an album, you watch it, you watch a music video, it's one thing. But I had recently had someone who knew absolutely nothing about our scene, nothing about our world. They came to a Brooklyn show. It was about 600 people there. And when you are in that sort of environment, when you are surrounded by that kind of energy and you see the crowd who's reacting to that music, it does start turning into this primal rage in a way where the music brings something out in you. And that's something that is just derivative of our ancestors. Music goes so far back to, if you look at when we would go into war, they'd have music to march into war. They would have that's literally, so this stuff would almost be something that makes people sort of transcend into this other form of themselves where they become animalistic. So for us with number 12, that's exactly what the shows are like. When you see what's happening and you feel the crowd who is into it and you feel that energy, this person who had come who knew nothing about this, she's so far removed, she knows nothing about this, and she couldn't believe how much emotion she just felt. She wasn't hearing the lyrics. I'm screaming, so good luck trying to hear what I'm trying to say.
Oh, so there are lyrics.
Of course.
Yeah.
Lots, very important lyrics. To me, at least.
And you write them and put them out there?
Yeah. But that's what I would say is, if you don't know anything about it, I just invite everybody to experience it in a room, because it's the same thing where I don't really know much about sound therapy or stuff like that. But I would assume that you can't really just put something like that on speakers on the laptop and expect to be transported somewhere to another dimension. It's like you kind of have to be in the environment of some of these experiences, and that's sort of what I would say our music is like. You kind of have to be in the room, in the environment to get exactly what we're going for.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you speak to the evolution of those lyrics or the fuel necessary? I always find it interesting when people have success early on with something that's very emotion driven or very hormonal. I mean, we were talking about high school.
Yep.
And then they have to carry that similar energy, at least I think in some sense, through decades of time. You know, like I find when I realized that Trent Reznor wrote certain lyrics at certain ages, I felt embarrassed for him that he was kind of like, I'm just like, I can't imagine, or even Katy Perry. Like there's lyrics where I'm like, this is like a 15-year-old's psyche. I find that tension interesting where like there's a persona, there's a brand to a band, obviously. And there's the initial catalyst for sending you off into space. But then there's where you have to pull from a genuine, like, I don't know if you're as rage-filled as you were then. Maybe you pull from a different source of rage, but I'm curious to understand after 20 plus years how that changes. Are you still as emotional, quote unquote, in a different sense, etc.?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a very, very hot topic currently, because that's a very popular topic amongst all people who are still in a band at my age. Everyone's like, so what are you writing about these days? Because, you know, at that 17-year-old self, I'm writing songs about like revenge songs, just songs that you're bullied in school, you're sort of the minority, and it's just all comeback songs, really. That's like the misfits who are having their revenge back. That's sort of what it is. And so, do I connect to those lyrics now? Not really. It's like, but that doesn't change the fact that I went through it. And so I think with these newer lyrics and these newer albums going into age 40, it's a lot of reflecting, and you may have some anger and angst towards certain topics, and we have become, I guess, we skate on the line of politically driven some I guess topics. We kind of always have, but I think now it's just I think that if you look at all kinds of bands who start off with this aggressive power of thrash, and you sort of see their trajectory where they start getting a bit softer, I think I can finally understand where I'm not saying we're getting softer, but you can start understanding where you being a young person, you have so much to say and you can't say it fast enough. So it's coming out of the music in this aggressive, like, kabam, it's just a nuclear bomb just goes off and it's just exploding in every direction. Whereas when you're an adult, you find more control and you find some understanding, and you're able to answer a lot of the questions you might not have had from being so young. But now there's all these new things that are affecting you. And, you know, a big thing is anxiety. It's depression. It's a lot of these like very human-like things where you don't really, it's just life gets at you. And you sort of, I'm still able to sort of tell the same story that I've been able to my whole life, because this is my outlet. You know, this is my therapy, I guess. This is where I'm able to attach. I'd hear a song that our guitarist Alex will write. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this feeling from this song. So then I'll start feeling it. I'll sit with it for multiple listens, and then an emotion comes out lyrically, and I'm like, oh, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. And it just starts pouring out on paper. And that's sort of like a very therapeutic session, because you can't really do that. I mean, I guess you can do that with a lot of things, with painting, with designing, whatever. But music is just, that's how I take it out.
Well, it's much more immediate. Music. Yeah, I mean, design, I don't even when I draw, I don't think I draw from an emotional place at all.
Right.
Some people paint from that place, but
sure.
Different modes, and I don't think music can be even competed with in any sense by other mediums in that way.
Right.
Maybe dance, but obviously you have a performative element, so
true.
You're capturing both of those things.
Yeah.
One thing I often talk about with musicians is the danger of hedonism, in the sense of, you know, as a visual artist, you're isolated. there's not much there. You know, you have other issues, loneliness.
Right.
But it's always, I didn't realize, I mean, we talked about it a couple months back, that you never drank, you don't drink. Is that part of the scene itself, or is that a personal decision that you made? That you make?
I mean, it's definitely part of the world. Not what I do is the minority.
Oh, it is. It's not. It's not like
no.
Straight. It's not like straight edge.
Straight edge is a thing for people who don't know. Straight edge is, you know, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do drugs, nothing. Started back with, I want to say, Minor Threat. Really capitalized on I walked a straight edge, and that's what it is. And it became a movement, became gang related at some point. Straight edge gangs turned into a federal threat. With these straight edge gangs, people.
But that's not where you're coming from at all.
No, not whatsoever. That whole world of me has zero to do with what I do in this band. It's actually probably, it couldn't be more opposite, because people just think I'm a absolutely crazed drug addict.
Right. Does that frustrate you? I was always frustrated by, like, oh, it looks like, what drug were you on when you drew this or made that comic, and it bothers me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't give a fuck. But in a sense, when I was younger, it was like nothing, you know. And maybe that's perhaps a way for people to relate. Some people need to take drugs to go to certain places. Some people are there. Some people have to enter into it in other ways. But yeah, it is interesting, the contrast of the persona, the performance, and then what you actually do. But I recall you, and it was interesting, I recall you explaining why you were straight edge. I just am blanking on that.
It's a bit layered, I guess. I guess going back to just not really being, I guess, invited to the circles.
Right, that's what you had mentioned.
Is where it really started.
Yeah.
Not really being invited to the circles of where it did happen.
When you're 16, etc.
14, 15, 16.
You don't have access, basically.
Well, when you just want to kind of have your own circle, when you want to have a friend group and you're not even part of the conversation, my natural instinct is I rebel. I go the other way. So when I know I'm not wanted, I go as far the other direction as I can. So these sort of friend groups in middle school, grades, high school, when it turned into like, oh, like, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go there, and you know, you're not even looked at. You just want to do. You're just angry, and you go the other way. So again, I'm not surprised that Number 12 turned into the music that it was and the lyrics that it turned into, because everyone. I mean, everyone's kind of like, isn't everything kind of based off of insecurities in a way? You know, it's like I was very insecure at that age, and especially that age. So that's
a great result for an insecurity, if you think about it.
Yeah,
that's a great result.
Yeah,
but it's obviously a conviction. It's not just a reaction. If you continue to do so,
exactly.
So there must be some sense of, you know, I have friends who don't drink, and they're just like, it's just stupid. It makes you stupid. It is poison. It's very rational, just kind of like, why would I do it?
Right.
But it's a fascinating thing in contrast to the world of music, which is often a debauched world because it's a very open world. You know, music really opens people up. So I always found that interesting.
Party.
Yeah.
It's a party. And what do you do at a party? You don't go to hang out with a straight edge guy.
Right. But also the fact that, you know, a common reoccurrence in this podcast is people feeling like they are on the outside of things.
Right.
Now, I think that might be universal to humans, but artists tend to use it in some sense, or identify heavily with it. But do you still feel that? You know, I think what's interesting to me is these transitions, right? Like the way you have used fuel at different points. You know, in my 20s, I had a very different kind of fuel, and I think it was like bad. Like the way like if I kept making work in the same mode I was making it, maybe there's insecurity within it. I think it would be ugly at this age.
Right.
But the trick is trying to understand I guess, who you are today and what should motivate you today. Because I don't think all motivation is good. It can be very corrosive to your long-term output and health in general.
Unless you're self-aware.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got to be self-aware.
I think for a band like us, because we are fueled by so much power with the music, as long as we are self-aware, which we are now, because it's been over 2 decades,
right,
you actually could use that fuel for music still to this day. So I may not feel like there's the story I always tell on different podcasts about the one very specific show in my head that we got heckled for the first time in a way that scarred me forever. And
really,
it was long story short, it was here in Jersey. We're playing with a band that I was really looking forward to playing with, who I really looked up to. They were basically hometown heroes in my opinion. And we got on a show with them, so already it feels legit. You're playing with the band that you listen to. That's as legit as you get.
Right.
And for us to then go into a screamo sort of part where it's this, the music drops out, it's just clean guitar, and I'm just screaming into the air, and then I just hear, wah, wah, baby, and I'm just like sitting there going, what? and then to find out after we play that it was the band that I was looking forward to seeing were the ones making fun of us.
Weird.
It fucked me up. And that specific moment, we were heckled forever in our early years, like just hated on.
Because of the screamo
just because we
element?
were so different.
Okay.
We were so different. We were playing this grind music, but we dressed like we were emo kids. Skin tight jeans with like pink shirts and swoopy hair. But we were just playing the heaviest music. So we were just hated on. And so I just remember that was fuel. That was my fuel to write these kinds of lyrics. And it was like, okay, I got it. And that just carried on. And it just it was sort of.
What age was this?
That must have been when I was 18.
I was going to say.
It must have been when I was 18.
It can be pretty hard to, like, imagine it happened today. You're 40. You're probably not going to get the same fuel.
No.
You're going to be like, okay, I don't care.
That's right.
I don't care.
You don't care.
And so that's what I mean by these different kinds of fuel. Like, on one hand, that's obviously derived from some sense of insecurity. You're 18. You don't feel accepted by someone you respect. What's interesting is not getting complacent or comfortable with almost one's stability mentally, or like you have to then start reaching from different places.
Sure.
And maybe try to give more in a sense, because there is a quality of, there's an egocentrism to like my own insecurity is now driving this output because I don't feel secure. But I think art can be made from a place of trying to give.
Yeah.
And when you become stable, it's much easier.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're trying to impart some perspective or knowledge, etc. I know you're screaming and it's probably hard to understand, but different feelings, they matter in this.
Yeah.
And I think there's it's like a pretty interesting, what would I say? You're asked to be pretty adaptable if you want to make art for a long time. Pretty flexible, I think. You can't just be the one-trick pony.
You can, but I don't know the shelf life of something like that.
Yeah.
And I guess that sort of goes back to why do we do music in the first place? It's like,
well, why do you at 40? Why do you think you do it?
It's a very good question.
Well, it becomes kind of hard to answer. No,
it becomes very hard.
There's
to answer.
momentum. Where in the beginning there's friction. There's like you're pushing up against something to make. The initial story you described is very interesting because it's just a bunch of kids trying to figure something out. Later in life, there's momentum. There's the identity you have. It's interesting. There's more. There can be more past orientation there, where you're like, well, I've done it. It's what I know to do. But yeah, why do you think at 40, or can you imagine doing it in 50, 60, 70? Like,
no, I don't know.
That's a good answer.
I don't know if I can, especially if no one knows the kinds of shows that we're playing, if no one knows the kinds of, if people don't see, insert visual here. If you don't see how much we pour into every show, I mean, you know, we played Atlanta a couple weeks ago. I'm hanging off the balcony and screaming from the top of the balcony, and then I just let go and I fall straight all the way down. And this is just what our shows are. On Friday, crowd surfing in the middle of our song, and I'm almost to the ceiling, and then I am dropped straight onto my back with all the wind knocked out of me. And this is what I've been doing. This is all I know. So when I say I'm not going to give it all, I have no idea what that means. I have no idea how else to be. So I don't know. At this point, I'm putting on a show. That's what it is. It's putting on a performance. So when you go to the Coney Island sideshow performance and you're watching these performers swallowing swords or fire breathers or whatever, that's what I see number 12 as. Is we're performers at this point, and we're playing this music, which, you know, is fine. It's not for everyone. We get it. But when you go to a show, and even if you don't know anything about it, it is on another level of entertainment that you are just so. You're just going to be. It may not be for you, but you won't deny that it is just. This is nuts. This is just nuts.
And there's a physicality. There's an athleticism.
100. That's all. That's why I train so much.
Yeah.
It's like you can't expect to go up on stage, literally screaming into a mic for an hour, with all the breath in your body, darting across a stage, back and forth, going. Thank you. This next song. And while doing gymnastics.
How do you train?
I do MMA training, but I also do a lot of cardio training as well. So it's just strict cardio burns. Cardio.
No, I mean, it's interesting because your expression has that physicality to it. Then there's a kind of there's a physical shelf life to it as well. Like at 60, it's going to be hard to do. But then you'll have to find another way to express, I assume, some kind of... So that kind of gets me to, like, if we're talking about chapters, and chapter 2 is that break, how has chapter 2 and 3 commingled in respect to the band starting up again, but you having these skill sets acquired within that 6-year break? Do they inform each other? Are they still separate? Do you have to make time? Like, I'm sure the time is different. You're trying to produce films, photography, and the band. It's obviously very different than when you're 18 and you're solely focused on this thing.
Right. Yeah. I would say that the biggest thing coming back to the number 12 Looks Like You after the 6-year break is confirming my identity, I would say. I think when you are a teenager and you're going through your young male adulthood life as a heavy metal singer, it's hard to find your place in the world when you come back home and everything is alien. All your friends are off doing adult things that with their full-time jobs, making real money, and with their real significant others, and you are still this rocker guy who shows up with no friends because everyone stopped calling you because you're always on tour, and you have no job because you're always on tour, and you kind of have no place to live as well. So you're jumping from couch to couch, and you lose a sense of I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. I feel like I lost a little bit of identity to what was I doing in life. And so the 6-year break was so pivotal to me, I guess, growing as an individual, because it gave me a chance to explore life. I was missing everything when I was gone. I was missing birthdays. I was missing deaths in my family. I was missing births in my family. It was just everything you can imagine. You're just never home. You're missing holidays. You're missing Christmas. Just to tour, do this thing over and over and over again. And then you come home to nobody, and you can't retain a relationship because nobody wants to date someone they're going to see a couple times a year. So you've lost touch of all reality. So those years and those 6 years of managing and then getting into having a best friend like my friend Joey, who took me under his wing to teach me I would travel with him all around the world for photography as his lighting and digital tech assistant, and we're traveling to all the crazy corners, and I'm now becoming financially stable. I'm making real money, and that's the first in my life of making actual money, being like, oh my God, I don't have to eat bread only today and steal butter. I can actually go and I can buy a sandwich for once. So when I had that, I guess, confidence, it felt good to go back to my first love of music. I was like, you know what? I'm making good money. I'm doing photography at another level. All right. I'm making art. I want to go back to my first love because now I have appreciation for all the fans that we did have, and I was resenting it towards the end, but I didn't want to. I want to go back to appreciating it, and I want to give it another shot. And that was where... And
the whole band was in that same kind of mindset?
Not the whole band.
I was going to say, that seems improbable to me.
Yeah, it was very difficult to get the band back together, as they say, quite literally. So I was only able to get one other original member back, which is fine because he's a guitarist, writer, Alex, my brother, who we wrote basically so much of the music together. We didn't write all of it together, but we did write a whole lot of it together. So we just got back. I was like, hey, I kind of want to give this another shot, and the other guys don't. You want to recruit some new members and do it again? All right.
What'd that look like? Younger people? Just people who were fans?
Both, I guess.
Yeah.
They were a little bit younger. They were a little bit of fans too. Very difficult music to learn. And we got it. And we did it. 2016, we did our reunion show. I posted a very cryptic image on social media, and it was this weird thing of a bunch of weird lines, and it had 6 songs, six song titles of ours, and all those 6 songs. And then if you saw on a very, very slim side corner of this image, it just said a date and Kingston, New York. That's all it was. And I was like, guys, I don't even want to promote this as a real show. Let's do it. But I'm just going to post this very cryptic thing. And I was expecting there to be a bunch of local biker dudes at this bar in Kingston. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, this thing went crazy. People were calling up all the bars, the venues, everything that existed in Kingston, New York. People flew out from Ohio, Michigan, without any knowledge, just on the whim that this might be a number 12 show. And sure enough, we play, and people were just it was one of the absolute coolest, most humble experiences of people who just on a whim just came from all around the place to show up to a bar that they were people literally calling the bar being like, is this real? And like, I can't really tell you anything. And they just showed up, and they saw enough people, and like, holy shit, this is going down tonight. And it was a very special, very, 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 very special night. And yeah, 2016 to 2024, here we are, we're still going.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, so are you like the core? Are
Yep.
you the core?
Guess so.
I just mean like in the sense, I think all, and I could be wrong, but it seems like all bands actually have a core, an individual who's kind of like the axiom of the whole thing.
Sure. I would say,
but I'm questioning it because it sounds like, did it end on your behest, and then did it start again because you said, let's start it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It did. That's accurate.
But it's just interesting because, I mean, you are the front man, right? Technically
I am.
speaking.
Very.
So it's very interesting to me that you technically go into this with no skill, no discernible skill. And that should be inspiring to anyone listening who has no yeah, that's the majority of my listeners. No skills. It's just interesting. I think when kids are young, they're like, well, if I want to be in a band, obviously I got to learn an instrument. But you found yourself just... I mean, it's rather organic. I don't think you could walk up to a 13-year-old and be like, just start screaming, figure it out.
It is organic. That's it.
It would be cheesy. It wouldn't work to do it that way. It seemed like it just came out naturally. But that's interesting to know. I didn't know you were like the... you're what's keeping it going in some sense, it seems like to me.
I mean, all the visual, anything that's artistic, any art connected to the band, everything is it starts with me. I hire different people, but all of it starts there. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the music videos,
it's a production
art, it's a
entity.
whole production.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's how you learned production.
In a way.
Effectively.
In a way.
Art directing.
Yeah.
In some sense.
Through my band, everything in my life that is creative, whether it is film producing, whether it's on-set photography, whether it's shooting movie posters, whether it's directing my first movie, managing bands, graphic design, everything is derivative from this band. I pay all the homage to Number 12 because it teaches you real fast how to run a business.
Yeah. I think that's what's crazy is like people don't want to hear the word entrepreneur because it's like a cheat. There's like this thing that is evoked. But it's kind of an essential part of being an artist, whether people like it or not.
Yeah.
You're self-employed. You better figure out how to do taxes at some point.
Or get a good accountant.
Yeah. I have talked to people who are more like on the tech side of entrepreneurial stuff who their stories sound pretty similar in some ways. It's actually kind of fascinating because they seem polarized in some sense. But yeah, those things are so... I guess that's what I always valued about an art practice. It's pretty much very holistic and all-consuming if you do it right.
Yeah.
It's almost... You have no choice, in a sense. It's very much leading the way, and then you have to figure out everything in its wake. Mm-hmm. How you're going to make money, how you're going to work with other people. I find working on other people's stuff interesting as well. I think it's a recipe for me that you have to kind of figure out as you get older, but it's healthy.
I think it's great. I think it was the best experience you can have of life. I think being in a band, it made me truly a better person. You're not this small town, small-minded being anymore. You're meeting people from around the fucking world. I mean, you're meeting people we're playing in England, Japan. The more you travel and the more you absorb other cultures, it really makes you a better person. And having to figure out the entrepreneurship side of things with business and income and content creating that generates things, it's all stuff that you kind of have, if you love what you do, you kind of have to get that stuff figured out. And if you don't, you can put it on a manager or an agent, but then you start losing control of things. And that's something that, it's just a matter of like, how strong is your vision? If it's really strong and you really want to take control of that, well, you better learn everything pretty fast. So yeah, I think it's a great life experience. I think it's made me really like a better person in so many different ways, a better business person, walking into the movie industry through my Yale Productions friends and being able to talk creative with some of these people and build things from the ground up. That's a band. It's like, it's not that different when you're building a movie or you're working on a script. It's like you're putting things into fruition. Oh, we're going to shoot this scene that has this comic book and this poster on the wall, and they're going to be so mad at the poster they're going to rip it down. Well, someone's got to create that poster, like the art of it. They've got to create this comic book. They have to create the dialogue. They have to have a designer who can create it. They have to have a production designer who can paint the wall a certain color. There's so many elements that you just instinctually know what to do. That really, again, I think it just connects to being in a band.
Yeah. Do you have a vision of the next 40 years?
4?
40.
40. Shit.
You can do 4 if you want.
No, I don't want to do 4. That's too soon.
No, I'm saying
40.
Perhaps it's
40.
antithetical to the way you think, but I always like just imagining it's not going to happen, but I like to try to project through time. How many books will I make before I die?
Sure.
What will I be interested in? You know, again, we operate in different modes, so it's interesting how physical, performative, and social yours is. You know, can you see it?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about the next 10 years, call it.
Sure.
But let's just say 40, because why not? 80,
yeah, why not?
80 years
Let's
old.
go.
That's cool. That's great. If I make it to 80, that would be fantastic.
You got it. You don't drink. You don't smoke.
I work out a lot.
Yeah, why
I
not?
eat healthy. You know,
Maybe 120.
The one thing I don't do well is I do not
Brush your teeth.
No, I brush it twice a day.
Yeah,
hygiene is very good for me too. It's the live performance with number 12. When I tell you it is disgusting, not me, I'm not disgusting, but when I'm holding a microphone up to some dude who is 4 inches away from my face and they're screaming and spitting into my mouth and onto my mic, it's kind of gross.
Okay.
And then they're picking me up on their shoulders and.
Well, you probably got a
tossing me
good
around.
immune system.
You know, I swear to God, I thought I should, and here I am with this like kind of sniffle thing, and I'm like, I can't win. This is like, I thought I was like indestructible, but 40 years from now, I definitely, I really truly do feel like I've personally lived a lot of lifetimes. I'm very grateful for everything that I've done. So if I'm able to continue to do that again for another half of my life, to just have these experiences that are everything from making movies and just keep making things and keep meeting new people to collaborate on things, that's really what I want to just keep doing. I that is what my life is I do create for a living. That's it. It's photography, it's movies, it's music. I'm very fortunate with all that, and if I can just keep doing that and keep making things without any sort of just pressure to have to do it, I'd say that would be a good, healthy next 40 years, and that's where I would like to go. I'd like to get into the next tier of everything that I'm doing, but just the next tier of it, because I'd love to just see everything through, and once I've seen it, great, all right, awesome, that's it.
Yeah.
That'll be a wrap on me.
No, that's wonderful. It's nice to hear that you would just double down. Just do it again.
I would just do it again.
At the next level.
At the next level.
Maybe you'll make it to 120. We don't know. Go 3 levels up. 3 levels up.
With the kinds of technologies that are coming out now, there might be some sort of pill that extends my life. Do I want to live to 120? Probably not.
You think you'll be good? You'll be good at 80?
I think I'd be pretty good at 80.
Yeah, isn't that interesting how like life can be so inspiring and beautiful, but also there's a sense of, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I think in some sense it's designed that way. Like, okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm good.
I
Did it.
I had a very strong realization of that exact same thought. I was like, wow. I talked about this conversation before. John Malkovich, who was in one of our movies, he had said, we were just shooting the shit, but we had this super deep personal talk, and he had said something that just stuck with me to this day. And and I just never really heard anyone else say it, but he had said, I've lived such a rich life and I've done so much in life and I've made so many people, including myself, happy, that if I was to die right now, I would be very content. I'd be like, you know what? All right. That was cool. And I guess I never really fast forward thought about that, about that sort of thought.
Yeah.
Just sort of like, if, oh shit, I'm going to die. Fuck, I'm dying. Damn, what am I going to do? It's like, you know, if you sort of take a look back at everything and you've fully fulfilled a life experience, I think that's kind of a cool way to sort of wrap it up. It's like,
oh, of course,
that was cool.
That's the goal.
That was fun.
All right, so I like to end it on assuming someone has never heard number 12.
That's probably everybody here.
What's I don't know if there's that many people here. I don't know. They could be. We don't know.
We don't know.
What's the song that they should start with?
A song, shit.
Should it be a video? Obviously, they should go to a live show, preferably.
Obviously, go to a live show.
But is there a clear peak here, or a clear access point for someone?
You know, 7 albums from a teenage baby to a 40-year-old man. I don't think that there is a clear song in true bold letters that is like screaming, this is the number 12 looks like you. I think there's too many, like, there's older songs that are always going to be our staple songs. But if you weren't there back then, you kind of missed it.
It's not going to work.
Because you can't replace nostalgia. And we all like bad movies. We all like bad songs. It's not because they're good. It's just because it reminded us and brought us to a place that we really enjoyed. We may watch it now and be like, you know what? This really sucks. But I felt a certain feeling when I listened to it. And for that, this is the best song. This is the best movie. So I would say same with number 12. There's not anything that I would say I would direct anybody specifically to from the past catalog. I would probably point them to something more recent, like our very, very recent release, which is 10,000 times more digestible than anything we've ever put out because there's no screaming. The whole song, I actually sing.
Really?
Punk rock singing.
All right.
So,
what's that called?
Eyes on the Fireworks.
Eyes on the Fireworks.
That is the one that I would say, go on YouTube, watch the video. It's a quite a politically driven song, I guess, but it is very representative of us.
Right on. Well, this is live from Rutherford, New Jersey.
That's right.
Where we both live currently.
Here we are.
A lot going on here.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah.
As I look out in the street and street is
what do you
lined
see?
with I see street lined up with cars.
Cars.
And, you know,
backed up.
Cars have people.
Texas
People
Chainsaw Massacre playing right now at the Williams Center.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Upstairs?
In the Rivoli.
Rivoli?
Yeah.
Damn.
We're showing it again
Well,
this
they're
week.
having it's the 50th anniversary.
Exactly. 4K release.
Nice. Oh, really?
Got some anime playing downstairs. Classics. You got any message and you got any last words?
I mean, my words I always leave off with is do whatever you want.
Really?
That's it.
Yeah, I don't advise that. Yeah, don't.
It's not something to live by, but do whatever you want.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Music by Dory Bavarsky and Mingja Chen. Hope you have a wonderful week.
Jesse Korman.